The Death and Life of Great American Cities by Jane Jacobs. Jane Jacobs, the author of The Death and Life of Great American Cities, was a community activist and critic of city planning. Her book discusses and explains the failings of the current philosophy on urban planning and city design. Jane Jacobs' book provides valuable insight in understanding how healthy cities function. Greenwich Village, a neighborhood spanning 185 acres, is home to a diverse population of professionals, artists, and students. It is also where Jane Jacobs hails from and where she developed insights for her book. Jane Jacobs' observations and insights reveal that her home of Greenwich Village is what a healthy city should look and feel like. In the following slides, I will establish how her observations assert that Greenwich Village is the paradigm that other city planners should follow. In part 1 of Jane Jacobs' book, she discusses in distinct detail the following uses and importance of sidewalks and related supplements in the city. She discusses safety as a first condition of the success of a city and contact as a means of establishing trust and privacy. She then explains how the assimilation of children is imperative to the health of a city, how neighborhood parks provide a means for diverse exchanges, and discusses the importance of a neighborhood's ability to bring a sense of togetherness. Using these concepts, we'll be focusing on two locations, Christopher Street and Washington Square Park. According to Jane Jacobs, to keep the city safe is a fundamental task of city streets and its sidewalks. Since a city is comprised of many strangers, it is important that these strangers interact without fear of one another. Jacobs notes that the bedrock attribute of a successful city district is that a person must feel personally safe and secure on the street among all these strangers. He must not feel automatically menaced by them. She goes on to say that the first thing to understand is that the public peace, the sidewalk and street peace of cities is not kept primarily by the police, necessary as police are. It is kept primarily by an intricate, almost unconscious network of voluntary controls and standards among the people themselves, and enforced by the people themselves. This notion of increasing effective eyes for proprietors of the street, namely those who use it, provide a general blanket of safety for everyone. As for contact, Jacob notes that the trust of a city street is formed over time from many, many little public sidewalk contacts. It grows out of people stopping by at the bar for a beer, getting advice from the grocer, and giving advice to the newsstand man, comparing opinions with other customers at the bakery, and nodding hello to the two boys drinking pop on the stoop. She explains the importance of self-appointed public characters, which she defines. A public character is anyone who is in frequent contact with a wide circle of people and who is sufficiently interested to make himself a public character. He just needs to be present, and there need to be enough of his counterparts. His main qualification is that he is public, that he talks to lots of different people. Here is a video of Christopher Street that shows the prior slide at play, with a variety of small businesses faced toward the street and many users of the street unaware of the web that they are part of. Jacobs then explains the importance of assimilating children. She states that children in cities need a variety of places in which to play and to learn. They need, among other things, opportunities for all kinds of sports and exercise and physical skills, more opportunities more easily obtained than they now enjoy in most cases. To put it plainly, Jacobs hammers on the idea that the lesson the city dwellers have to take responsibility for is what goes on in city streets is taught again and again to children on the sidewalks which enjoy local public life. They can absorb it early. They show they have absorbed it by taking it for granted that they too are part of the management. They volunteer before they are asked directions to people who are lost. They tell a man he will get a ticket if he parks where he thinks he is going to park. They offer unsolicited advice to the building superintendent to use rock salt instead of a chopper to attack the ice. The presence or absence of this kind of street bossiness in city children is a fairly good tip-off to the presence or absence of responsible adult behavior toward the sidewalk and the children who use it. The children are imitating adult attitudes. This has nothing to do with income. Some of the poorest parts of cities do the best by their children in this respect, and some do the worst. Following this, she then explains that the use of neighborhood parks is of utmost importance. She notes, city parks are not abstractions or automatic repositories of virtue or uplift any more than sidewalks are abstractions. They mean nothing divorced from their practical, tangible uses, and hence they mean nothing divorced from the tangible effects on them, for good or for ill, of the city districts and uses touching them. She also discusses that the more successfully a city mingles everyday diversity of uses and users in its everyday streets, the more successfully, casually, and economically its people thereby enliven and support well-located parks that can thus give back grace and delight to their neighborhoods instead of vacuity. Lastly, Jacob explains the use of neighborhoods. She states, a city's very wholeness in bringing together people with communities of interest is one of its greatest assets, possibly the greatest. And in turn, one of the assets of a city district needs its people with access to the political, the administrative, and the special interest communities of the city as a whole. She also states that the street neighborhoods of a city have still another function in self-government, however, and a vital one. They must draw effectively on help when trouble comes along that is too big for the street to handle. This help must sometimes come from the city as a whole, at the end of the scale. The following video is a walking tour done in Washington Square Park by a guide for the traveler, which shows all these aspects essentially at play.
Ay, naku, may magdala ng basket. Ano ba yan?
In conclusion, Jane Jacobs' work provided a more valid basis for understanding the depth and complexity of healthy cities and the importance of organically maintaining internal relations between individuals in these cities. Thank you for watching.